This wellness retreat is exactly what Jessica and I needed, honey. I miss you so much. My name is Robert Mitchell. I'm 37 and work as quality control manager at North Peak Engineering here in Portland. But as I listened to my wife's voice through the phone that Thursday morning, restaurant noise and Portuguese conversations filled the background of what should have been a quiet retreat room. Lisa had been acting strange for months, working late more often, taking calls in other rooms, buying new clothes I'd never seen. She'd started working out more, bought new perfume, spent extra time on her appearance even for routine errands. She'd mentioned this Diego guy from her marketing firm's Sao Paulo office way too much. Diego this, Diego that. How he spoke 3 languages, how he had great insights about international markets. When she announced the Brazil trip on a Tuesday during dinner 2 weeks before leaving, something felt off. She said it casually while cutting her chicken, like she was discussing weekend groceries. 2 weeks in Rio de Janeiro with her college friend Jessica for some wellness retreat. But the dates she gave me didn't match what I glimpsed on her phone calendar later that evening. I've been married to Lisa for 8 years. Met her at a friend's barbecue 9 years ago. She was funny, ambitious, made everyone around her feel interesting. We moved in together after 6 months, got married after 2 years. We talked about starting a family by our 5th anniversary. When she wanted to get her MBA, I covered more expenses and household stuff. When she got promoted and needed to travel, I adjusted my schedule to handle everything at home. I thought we were building something together. She used to share everything with me. Office gossip, difficult clients, her daily frustrations and victories. Now I got polite summaries that felt rehearsed. If you like stories about betrayal and how the truth always comes out, hit like on this video and subscribe to the channel right now. Every day we have completely new stories, each one more intense than the last. The cracks started showing about 6 months before the Brazil trip. Lisa began mentioning Diego constantly. He'd joined her firm from their Sao Paulo office. She talked about him more than she talked about us. I'd suggested we start trying for kids around our 7th anniversary. Lisa said she wanted to wait until her next promotion was secure, maybe another year. She'd been saying variations of that for 3 years. Then came the small lies. She said she was working late, but her office building was dark when I drove past at 9:30 p.m. Client dinners that lasted until midnight on weeknights. Her phone was always face down now, and she started taking it to the bathroom. Every suspicious behavior had a reasonable cover story. 2 months before Brazil, she mentioned Diego was helping with a special project requiring evening collaboration. International expansion presentation, she said. His South American market experience was invaluable. The project seemed to require lots of late-night strategy sessions. The week before her trip, I noticed she'd been researching Brazilian culture, Portuguese phrases, Rio de Janeiro restaurants. Deeper research than needed for a wellness retreat with a girlfriend. When I mentioned this, she said Jessica wanted to explore local culture and she was being a good travel companion. I decided I needed to know what was really happening. My job in quality control taught me to look for patterns, check details, document everything. When things don't add up, there's usually a reason. The night before she left, I helped her pack. New clothes I'd never seen, expensive lingerie with tags still attached. When I commented on the pretty dress she was folding, she said it was for the resort's dinner requirements. She packed like someone planning to impress, not relax. "You'll miss me," she said, kissing my cheek at the airport departure gate. "Always do," I replied, watching her walk away in heels she normally saved for important client presentations. Lisa called me twice more from Brazil. Each conversation was more elaborate performance art. She complained about the food, accommodations, Jessica's ongoing illness, how much she missed our quiet life in Portland. Every word felt like another small betrayal. But that Thursday morning call was different. When I asked where she was, she said, "In my room. Jessica is sleeping, so I'm trying to be quiet." But I could hear busy restaurant sounds, people talking, dishes clinking, Portuguese conversations. If she was in her room with a sleeping roommate, why could I hear what sounded like a busy cafe? "Hope you feel better soon," I said. "Get some rest." After hanging up, I sat in my office for 30 minutes, staring at production reports I couldn't focus on. The woman I'd been married to for 8 years had just lied to me while crying about missing me. That wasn't confusion or miscommunication. That was deliberate deception. I walked to my car and drove home instead of finishing my workday. In our bedroom, I looked through Lisa's remaining belongings with fresh eyes. Hidden in her jewelry box underneath earrings she rarely wore, I found a business card for a hotel in Rio de Janeiro. Not a wellness retreat. Copacabana Palace Hotel. Luxury place. The card had handwriting on the back. Room 847, can't wait. I sat on our bed holding that card for 20 minutes. All the pieces suddenly fit together. Diego from her office. The mysterious project requiring evening collaboration. The expensive new clothes and lingerie. The careful research about Rio de Janeiro culture and restaurants. Lisa wasn't on a girls' trip to a wellness retreat. She was on a romantic vacation with Diego. I didn't yell or throw anything. I didn't call her back and confront her. I just felt something inside me go very quiet and very cold. The woman I'd loved and supported and built a life with was lying in a hotel room in Brazil with another man while calling me to perform missing me. But what I didn't know was the evidence would be worse than I imagined. That evening I made 3 phone calls. First, to my brother Kevin in Phoenix to tell him his advice about trusting my gut had been correct. Second, to a divorce attorney my friend had recommended during his own marital troubles. Third, to a private investigator named Helen Parker, whose card I'd kept for 2 years after she'd helped my neighbor document his wife's affair. I need to know everything, I told Helen. And I need proof that will hold up in court. Helen Parker was exactly what I needed. Professional, thorough, completely emotionless about other people's marital disasters. We met at a coffee shop in downtown Portland the morning after I'd found the hotel card. Standard adultery documentation runs about $3,000, she said, sliding a contract across the table that covers surveillance, photographic evidence, and a detailed report suitable for divorce proceedings. Your wife returns from Brazil when? Sunday, 6 days from now. Perfect. I can have someone in Rio by tomorrow morning. Brazilian investigators are reliable, and American courts accept properly documented foreign evidence. I signed the contract and wrote the check. Part of me felt sick about hiring someone to photograph my wife with another man, but a larger part felt relieved to finally stop pretending everything was fine. Helen explained the process. Her Brazilian associate would locate Lisa and Diego, document their activities, and provide time-stamped photographs with GPS coordinates. Meanwhile, she'd investigate Diego's background and any evidence of their relationship in Portland. One more thing, Helen said as we prepared to leave. Don't change your behavior toward your wife when she returns. Act normal, even happy to see her. Let her think her deception worked. Guilty people make more mistakes when they feel safe. Lisa called me twice more from Brazil. Each conversation was more elaborate performance art. She complained about the food, the accommodations, Jessica's ongoing illness, and how much she missed our quiet life in Portland. Every word felt like another small betrayal. Sunday evening, I picked her up at the airport with flowers and a smile. She looked tanned, relaxed, and beautiful. She also looked like a woman who'd spent 2 weeks being adored by someone new. I missed you so much, she said, kissing me in the baggage claim area. How was the retreat? Disappointing. Way too much meditation, not enough actual relaxation. But being away made me realize how much I love our life here. That night, she unpacked while telling me elaborate stories about yoga classes and healthy meals and Jessica's mysterious stomach problems. She showed me a few souvenirs, a bracelet, some coffee, a small carved bird. Tourist gifts that could have been purchased anywhere. I'm exhausted, she said when I moved closer to her in bed. The travel just wiped me out. Let me recover for a few days. For the next month, Lisa maintained careful distance. She was affectionate but not intimate, present but somehow absent. She claimed the Brazil experience had left her feeling introspective and needing space to process everything. She wanted to focus on our relationship, she said, but first she needed to figure out what she'd learned about herself during the trip. I played the understanding husband perfectly. I gave her space, brought her coffee in bed, and listened to her vague reflections about personal growth and relationship priorities. I even suggested couples therapy if she thought it would help her process whatever she was working through. 3 weeks after her return, Helen Parker called with her preliminary report. Your wife spent 14 days at Copacabana Palace Hotel with Diego Santos, age 33, currently employed at her marketing firm. They shared a suite, dined at expensive restaurants, and behaved like lovers on vacation. I have photographs, hotel records, and restaurant receipts. Then Helen dropped the bomb. Your wife also visited a medical clinic in Rio on her final day there. For what? Still investigating, but the clinic specializes in women's health and family planning services. That evening, I watched Lisa cook dinner and wondered what she'd needed from a family planning clinic in Brazil. The timing felt significant, but I couldn't figure out why. 2 days later, Lisa approached me with new energy and affection. I've been thinking about us, she said. About our future. I want to start trying for a baby. Helen's full report arrived 1 week after Lisa's sudden enthusiasm about starting a family. The truth was worse than I'd imagined. Diego Santos hadn't just been Lisa's Brazilian vacation companion. They'd been having an affair in Portland for 3 months before the trip. Helen had security camera footage of them entering and leaving hotels together, credit card records of Diego paying for expensive dinners while I thought Lisa was working late, and phone records showing hundreds of text messages between them. The Brazil trip wasn't the beginning of their affair. It was their romantic getaway to celebrate something that had been developing for months. But the most devastating revelation was in the medical section of the report. Lisa had visited the clinic in Rio de Janeiro for pregnancy testing and prenatal consultation. According to the Brazilian medical investigator Helen had hired, Lisa was already pregnant when she returned to Portland. The timeline made everything clear. Lisa had conceived during her 2 weeks in Brazil with Diego, then returned home to convince me we should start trying for children. She was planning to pass off Diego's baby as mine. I sat in my truck in our driveway for an hour, reading the report 3 times. Every detail confirmed what I'd suspected but hoped wasn't true. My wife hadn't just cheated on me. She'd orchestrated an elaborate plan to trick me into raising another man's child. When I walked into our house, Lisa was making dinner and humming. She looked happy in a way I hadn't seen in years. "How was your day?" she asked, kissing my cheek. "Good, productive. I've been thinking more about what we discussed about having a baby. I really think we're ready now. Our marriage feels stronger since I got back from Brazil. Like I have better perspective on what matters." I managed to smile and nod. "I think you're right. We should definitely start trying." Over the next 3 weeks, Lisa performed the role of eager future mother perfectly. She researched prenatal vitamins, made appointments with her doctor, and talked constantly about baby names and nursery colors. She was already pregnant, but she was pretending we were just beginning to try. I played my part too. I expressed excitement about our future family, discussed how we'd rearrange our schedules when the baby came, and even started looking at larger houses in family-friendly neighborhoods. Meanwhile, I was consulting with divorce attorneys and planning how to handle the inevitable pregnancy announcement. Helen Walsh continued her investigation, gathering evidence about Diego's visa status, his relationship history, and his financial situation. She also documented Lisa's medical appointments in Portland, where she was undoubtedly confirming the pregnancy she'd already known about. "Your wife is being very careful," Helen observed during one of our meetings. "She's establishing a paper trail that makes it look like the pregnancy happened after her Brazil trip." "Smart woman. Too smart for her own good," I replied. 6 weeks after Lisa's return from Brazil, she asked me to sit down for an important conversation. "Robert, I have incredible news." She was glowing with happiness and excitement. "I'm pregnant, we're going to have a baby." I pulled her into my arms and spun her around the kitchen. "That's amazing. I can't believe it." "When?" "The doctor thinks I conceived about 2 weeks ago, so the baby should arrive next spring." 2 weeks ago, not 6 weeks ago in Brazil with Diego, but 2 weeks ago in Portland with me. She was already revising the timeline to fit her story. "We have to celebrate," I said. "This is the best news ever. We should tell our families. Maybe have a dinner party." Lisa's smile was radiant. "I'd love that. Let's make it special." That was when I decided to end this performance. I spent the next week planning what Lisa thought would be a celebration dinner and what I knew would be her public destruction. The guest list included both our families, close friends, and several couples from our social circle. 28 people total, all gathered to witness what they expected to be joyful baby news. I reserved a private dining room at Romano's, an upscale Italian restaurant where we'd celebrated our anniversary multiple times. The familiar setting would make Lisa comfortable and confident. I wanted her to feel safe before I destroyed her world. Helen Parker prepared professional presentation folders for each guest. The folders contained time-stamped photographs of Lisa and Diego in Rio de Janeiro, hotel registration records, restaurant receipts, and medical documentation proving Lisa's pregnancy timeline. Every piece of evidence was verified, translated, and notarized for legal proceedings. "This is thorough work," Helen said as we reviewed the final materials. "Your wife won't be able to deny or explain away this documentation." I also included a brief letter explaining the situation for guests who might be confused by the evidence. The letter was factual, not emotional. I wanted people to understand what had happened without making myself look vindictive or crazy. Lisa spent the week before the dinner shopping for a new dress and planning what she'd say when announcing the pregnancy. She was genuinely excited, which made the whole situation more disturbing. She wasn't just lying to me. She was looking forward to lying to everyone we knew. "Should we tell people the due date?" she asked while getting dressed for the dinner. "Let's keep some mystery," I suggested. "Just the basic announcement tonight." She laughed and squeezed my hand. "You're going to be such a wonderful father." The comment hit me like a physical blow. In her mind, I was going to be a wonderful father to Diego's child. She'd convinced herself that tricking me was somehow an act of love. At the restaurant, our families and friends filled the private dining room with warmth and conversation. Lisa worked the room like the marketing professional she was, hugging relatives and catching up with friends. She was performing happiness, but she was also genuinely happy. Her plan was working perfectly. My parents sat near her parents comparing notes about their excitement over becoming grandparents again. Kevin and his wife had driven in from Phoenix for the occasion. Everyone knew something special was being announced, but they thought they were here to celebrate new life and marital joy. "You look nervous," my mother observed when I kept checking my watch. "Just want everything to be perfect," I replied. As dinner concluded and people settled in with coffee and dessert, I stood up and tapped my wine glass to get everyone's attention. The room quieted and all eyes turned toward me. Lisa was glowing with anticipation. "Thank you all for being here tonight," I began. "Lisa and I asked you to join us because we have important news to share about our family." Lisa reached for my hand, expecting me to announce her pregnancy and accept congratulations from everyone we loved. Instead, I reached into my jacket and pulled out a stack of presentation folders. "Before we talk about Lisa's pregnancy," I continued, "I think everyone should understand the complete truth about our marriage." The smile started fading from Lisa's face as I began distributing folders to confused guests. "These documents will explain everything you need to know about Lisa's recent trip to Brazil and the real father of the baby she's carrying." The silence in the room was absolute as 28 people opened folders and began examining photographs of my wife with another man. Color drained from Lisa's face as she realized what was happening. "The first section shows Lisa and Diego Santos at the Copacabana Palace Hotel in Rio de Janeiro," I announced calmly. "They shared a room for 14 days while she told me she was at a wellness retreat with Jessica." Lisa's mother gasped audibly while staring at a photograph of her daughter kissing Diego by the hotel pool. My father was reading the hotel registration documents with the focused attention he usually reserved for legal contracts. "The medical records in Section 2 prove that Lisa was already pregnant when she returned from Brazil," I continued. "The conception date makes it impossible for me to be the father." "Robert, stop this," Lisa whispered, but her voice had no strength behind it. "The phone records in Section 3 document months of communication between Lisa and Diego before their Brazil vacation. This wasn't a spontaneous affair. It was a planned relationship." Jessica, Lisa's supposed travel companion, was shaking her head in confusion. "I've never been to Brazil," she said quietly. "Lisa told me you knew about her work trip with Diego." The room erupted in shocked murmurs as people processed the evidence. Lisa's father was methodically reviewing every document, his face growing darker with each page. My mother was crying silently while Kevin put his arm around her shoulders. "I filed for divorce," I announced. "DNA testing will eventually confirm what these documents already prove. Lisa attempted to trick me into raising Diego Santos's child." Lisa finally found her voice. "You hired someone to spy on me. You violated my privacy and humiliated me in front of our families. I documented your affair and your attempt to commit paternity fraud," I replied. "Everything in those folders is evidence of crimes you committed against our marriage and our families." She looked around the room at faces filled with shock, disappointment, and disgust. Her own parents wouldn't meet her eyes. "I can explain," she began, but no one was listening anymore. The performance was over. 3 months later, I signed the final divorce papers in my attorney's office. Lisa had agreed to an uncontested divorce after DNA testing confirmed Diego Santos as the biological father. She'd also agreed to a settlement that left her with minimal assets since adultery and attempted fraud had voided most of her claims to our shared property. The social consequences had been devastating for her. Both our families had cut contact after learning about her systematic deception. Her parents were particularly ashamed that she'd tried to trick me into raising another man's child, something they saw as a betrayal of everything they'd taught her about honesty and integrity. Lisa's professional reputation suffered when the story spread through Portland's tight-knit marketing community. Her firm quietly transferred her to a reduced role after clients began requesting different account managers. The story became a cautionary tale about the dangers of mixing personal deception with professional relationships. Diego had returned to Brazil immediately after the pregnancy became public, leaving Lisa to face single motherhood alone. I moved into a downtown apartment and started rebuilding my life with the friends who'd supported me through the divorce. Most of our mutual friends had sided with me after seeing the evidence, understanding that Lisa's deception went far beyond a simple affair. Kevin called me every week to check on my progress. "You did the right thing," he always reminded me. Painful but right. I'd started dating again, carefully and slowly. Trust would take time to rebuild, but I was learning to recognize red flags I'd ignored during my marriage. The woman I'd been seeing for the past month appreciated my directness about what I'd been through and why honesty mattered so much to me. Lisa faced complete social isolation as news of her affair and pregnancy deception spread throughout Portland's professional and social circles, leaving her without the family support, friendships, or career prospects she'd taken for granted while planning her elaborate betrayal. Signing those divorce papers in my quiet attorney's office, I realized that exposing Lisa's lies had been painful but necessary to build a life based on actual love and honesty. If you liked this story, hit like and leave a comment letting me know what you think about how Robert handled the situation. Sometimes the truth is painful but necessary to build a better life based on honesty and integrity. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe and hit the notification bell to get alerts about new stories like this. Every day we share real stories about justice, truth, and how good people can deal with deception and betrayal. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.